approach to teaching this class is not more of the same. We are not going to isolate computation and skills and give these kids just more drill, because that hasn't worked. We are going to teach mathematics in context, and the problem solving is a huge component. I have to say, in my work with teachers across my district, sometimes teachers will fall prey to that misconception that you have to teach skills before you can engage in problem solving, and that is absolutely not true.
As a traditional high school teacher, we generally think in, let's do this process. So finding someone who is willing to go back and take those elementary school ideas or those middle school ways of modeling, because we don't necessarily do that and think about that in the high schools anymore. So having the enthusiasm to be able to say, I'm going to try this, we're going to do something new, we're going to do some sort of outside the box activity that is not usually in the comfort zone of the traditional high school teacher.
That teaching that prioritizes the conceptual understanding is going to cast a broader net. The traditional type of teaching that just focuses on rules and procedures is not going to work. We know that. Research says it won't, because it only works for a certain type of student. Procedural competence does not guarantee mathematical proficiency, as you're going to hear over and over and over again.
But when I get to a kid's group or a group of students that are doing it a different way, I have to be open to looking at what their thinking is to see whether or not it really is supported mathematically, and how is it making sense to them. So as facilitating these types of lessons, you have to have a lot of different approaches that you are thinking about as you're going through it, and you have to have some sense of what's valid and what's not, but you can gain that by listening to the students' explanations.
When Mary was like, I want to do mine so I can see what I did wrong, I was just like, oh, that is like the golden teacher moment.
I've talked to so many teachers in my district in middle school that have said, until they discovered this way to help teach rational number, ratio, and proportion, they had students just struggle mightily with problem solving until they brought this way into the fray. And this is a central part of Module 3.
Actually, the good news is that great minds don't always think alike. And I think that that's part of the foundation of where the course is coming from. And we've been missing some of the kids because they're not necessarily processing the same way. But I also think that it's invaluable in any classroom because you get to see how they think. There's more than one way to approach a problem. And traditionally, we've been stuck in mathematics on this is the way to do it. This is the right process. But there's so many other processes. There's so many other methods. And being able to see that and let students know that it is okay to think outside the box or differently than the teacher. And I think that's really important.
Definitely an important theme in teaching this class. We don't teach students different methods and strategies and embrace different ways of thinking to confuse kids. It's about differentiating, casting a broader net so that we can reach more than we have in the past.